Hey, and welcome to this week's video where we're going to be talking about the best mindset for improving your marketing. So we cover a lot of content on this channel. I cover a lot of content on my Instagram as well. And that's all well and good, seeing content, learning about it. But if you can't use it and if you're not thinking about it in the right way, it's really a waste of time, spending any time learning about new things. So that leads me to this question here, what has mindset got to do with marketing? It's a valid question. And really, when we think about it, everything that we do, all of our actions, they start in our mind, and that's either consciously or unconsciously. So the way that we think about something or the way that we relate to something very much impacts our actions around it. So by extension, the way that we think about our marketing and marketing in general, learning about marketing, will impact how we go about our actions in relation to our marketing. And over on Instagram, my Icons of Icons video this week was inspired by Jim Collins. He's written some of my favourite books. And this quote here is one of my favourites, actually. Good is the enemy of great. And I thought it was a really apt quote to go into this kind of subject area. And that's because the problem with good is it can very easily morph into good enough. And if we cap our standards at good, we're preventing ourselves of ever reaching great. So in that sense, good enough is our enemy because it stops us from growing. Like I said, it puts a cap on our standards, and really it's selling us short because I believe we can all do great things with our work. We can all learn more, we can all apply things in the right way, and we can all take consistent steps that compound over time. But if we're thinking of good enough, we're going to sell ourselves short. And also good enough means that we're in danger of letting our quality slip, which impacts our results, which impacts our business results as well. So very quickly we can find ourselves on a slippery slope downwards just because we're thinking in terms of good or good enough. And when it does, it impacts our business results, it impacts our cash flow and the quality of the marketing that we're doing overall. What we need is the right balance of a desire to improve, which involves leaving our comfort zone, courage, which again ties into leaving our comfort zone. We've got to be able to do that, and we can't if we don't have courage. Mindfulness, so that we're aware when we're feeling resistance, and by extension cognitive dissonance. We're going to get more into cognitive dissonance later in this video because it's such a key thing that affects all of us. Humility keeps us honest. Humility keeps us with our head down and learning and working hard. And long-term thinking, something that's a real asset if you can embrace that kind of thinking. And finally, we need to hold ourselves to high standards, because if we have high standards, we'll keep working towards them and we'll keep on leveling up. So I've worked in marketing for about 18 years or so. I've also worked as a coach and done training as a therapist. So this area of mindset is something that I'm quite familiar with. But also, I'm like you, I'm a lifelong learner as well. And actually, I probably feel that my real education came after I graduated university and I started educating myself and, choosing, being really selective over what I was learning. And I do invest regularly in my own development and education. And I'm going to show you the current state of my bookshelf, but only on the condition that you don't judge me because it's a bit of a state. So I would say here's my bookshelf in all of its glory, but it's a bit tragic at the minute. You see it's sort of all over the place. And yes, it does drive my girlfriend mad. At the top here, they go 2 deep. On all the shelves, they go 2 deep. At the bottom, they actually go 5 deep. So I'm always learning new things. I read a lot and I try and make notes and action things I'm learning as I go. But when it comes to taking action on new things, I feel resistance sometimes. I'm aware that cognitive dissonance is having an impact on me and helping me to rationalize my way out of trying new things. But I've learned over the years that with the right balance of a few things, these things here, it can really help our learning and help us to make constant progress. So one of the things that hold us back when it comes to learning new things and implementing new things, maybe working in a new way, is cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is basically a mental discomfort that we feel when we hold two competing beliefs at the same time. I'm just going to go through a quick example here. So in order to reduce that discomfort that we feel, our mind automatically and unconsciously creates a narrative that makes us feel better. It reduces that dissonance, that discomfort. And the reason why it holds us back from progressing is because it keeps us in our comfort zone. I'll show you why in a moment. But even worse than that, it actually makes us feel good about staying within our comfort zone. So, for example, let's say Lisa sees herself as brave and ambitious. That's an identity that she holds about herself. And although she's recently validated an idea for a business, she chooses not to launch it. She stays instead in her day job, which she doesn't enjoy, which is in her comfort zone. So if we look at the competing beliefs that are going on inside Lisa's mind here, on one hand, we've got that she is a brave and ambitious person. And on the other hand, we've got, I'm too afraid to launch a business. So these two competing beliefs create dissonance, mental discomfort within Lisa. So what her mind does automatically and unconsciously is rationalize that decision to protect her identity. So she'll tell herself something like, the idea would probably fail anyway, or it's not the best time to start a business. Plus, if I keep working hard here, I'll eventually get a promotion. Telling herself these stories are going to make her feel better, and it's going to reduce that level of dissonance. So she's actually going to feel good staying within her comfort zone. And like I said, the reason why our mind does that is because it protects our identity. We want to protect our identity almost at all costs. So it justifies that inconsistent behavior. And like I said, she stays within her comfort zone. And the thing is, we all do this all the time. When you start learning about cognitive dissonance and really getting under the skin of what it is, how it works, you'll just see how prevalent it is in all of our lives. And we all do this far more than we realize. We really do. So becoming mindful of it can be such a big factor in making progress. How do we become mindful of it? It's increasing our level of self-awareness or mindfulness. And that's really the key to deal with cognitive dissonance. It's actually very, very hard to catch ourselves in cognitive dissonance. So when we're actually experiencing cognitive dissonance, it's very rare that we can actually be conscious and be like, oh, this is cognitive dissonance, right? Let's take a step back and think very slowly and deliberately about this decision here. But if we make being reflective a habit, journaling about decisions, etc., and being mindful, it can really help us to think honestly about the choices that we're making and disconnect emotionally in that sense, get some distance, be objective, and really ask ourselves the question, am I making the right decision for my life now and in the future? So learning about cognitive dissonance and understanding how it works, why it happens, and in ways to combat it have been huge for me when I've been learning new things, like I said. I do that quite a lot. So I feel resistance quite a lot. So I journal almost every day. I don't quite do it every day, and reflect on things that I'm doing. And that is a really big help. Another huge game changer for me was this book here. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And I really recommend, if you've not heard of it, making that investment of 10, 15 quid, whatever it is, and getting a copy. It's a great read. And really the Slight Edge is a way of thinking. And it enables long-term thinking, and it helps you to avoid the trap of short-term thinking. We all expect a little bit too much too soon sometimes, and it can be incredibly destructive when it comes to us making progress. The Slight Edge can give us confidence that we're on the right path and helps us over time to produce really outstanding results. So the cornerstone to the Slight Edge is its philosophy that simple things done over time compound and end up creating fantastic results. Like it says in this image here, what's uncomfortable early becomes comfortable later. And what's comfortable early becomes uncomfortable later. So getting used to doing things that feel uncomfortable now help us to get great results in the future. And it's something that applies to lots of different things. You can see here, finances, health, business, personal development, and relationships. And it's all about these curves here. So let's look at a quick example. And let's say that we wanted to lose some weight and get in shape. Having a cheeseburger for lunch today isn't going to balloon us up right away, right? We don't see the impact of that. So we might think nothing of it. So if we do it on a regular basis, we might not see anything for a while, but those things compound. And before we know it, we're in really bad shape just because we've not done the right things on a consistent level. But again, this philosophy works in the opposite way as well. So if you're doing the right things on a regular basis, you might not see results straight away, but you can be sure that over time, you're going to be on this up curve and these results are going to compound and you'll see some fantastic results in time. So how does this all relate to your marketing then and getting better at marketing. Like I said, it's fine, learning about strategy or tactics or how to create better video content. But if you're not going to be implementing these new things on a regular basis, you're just not going to get those results over time. Doing new things is uncomfortable, so we have to be comfortable with doing the uncomfortable things. We might try and rationalize our way out of doing something in a new way. If we're used to writing a blog, there can also be a lot of doubt around whether it's worth doing these new things. I've spoken to brands in the past about changing things up, and there's been a lot of resistance about changing what they're doing because they're not sure if it's worth it, even though there's tons and tons of data of them doing this new particular thing. And when I've dug a little deeper, what I've found is that it's not worth it translate to we're afraid of stepping into uncharted territory. So it's possible that people will stick with something that gets them a 6 out of 10 results on a regular basis, rather than pushing themselves to something that will in the future get them a regular 8 out of 10 in terms of results. But because it's unfamiliar, people tend to rationalize their way out of it. And one of the reasons is because we don't always see immediate results from making a change. And that's why this slight edge mindset is so important. Because if you make a change to how you're doing your marketing, no, you might not see results overnight. But if you can consistently make 1%, 2% improvements to what you're doing, over time, they're going to compound and you're going to get some tremendous results. And like I said, the big one, cognitive dissonance, it keeps us in our comfort zone and we rationalize our way out of trying new things, working in new ways. Some of the ways that people do that is saying that I don't have time, the way I'm doing things now will work out eventually, or this doesn't relate to me. There's just some ways in which people rationalize their way out of doing new things and actually trick themselves into feeling good about staying within their comfort zone. But just to recap, if we hold ourselves to high standards, if we notice when we're feeling resistance and be willing to lean into that discomfort of uncharted territory, adopt a long-term view, long-term thinking, and celebrate small wins, which is a really big part of the slight edge. If you're just doing little things and making 1% improvements every day or every week, notice them and celebrate them, and what you're going to do is form really positive associations with doing those things. You'll be more likely to keep doing them. And like I said earlier, something that I've found really useful to help build that self-awareness and mindfulness is just journaling on what we're learning and what we're feeling as we're learning and how we are dealing with it. That reflectiveness really helps us to investigate our decisions, just to make sure we're doing the exact best thing for us, our business, and our development. So there you have it. That's what I found to be the best mindset in improving your marketing. It's not just theory, it's stuff that I've lived and breathed and continue to live and breathe. It's how I approach getting better at things. And I hope that you found some useful things in there that can help you to do better marketing too.